Hey, so there was this lady that had asked a question, pretty much pertaining to the Garden of Eden and knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the question was, if God is omnipotent and all knowing, then why would He ever put the tree there in the Garden of Eden if He knew that they were going to simply just disobey Him if they were at the chance? Because they were saying if I was a parent and I knew that my child might get into something, that I would just move it out the way so I wouldn't have to worry about them doing that. And to our human minds, that would make sense. But the point that I'm making is that, or at least what I think is the same way that God won't simply snap His fingers and remove all evil and remove Satan from the world, so that we can have the choice to choose Him and to choose our spirit over our flesh, is the same way that He wanted Adam and Eve to choose Him over their own desires, right? Because in the Garden of Eden, there wasn't really that many rules for them to follow. You know what I'm saying? Because at that time, they didn't have sin in them. They didn't have a concept of evil to even commit sin. So, if that's the case, then how do you have children that aren't robots? How do you give them freedom to choose you? You give them a law. You give them something that they have to choose other than you. And so that's what I mean, is that I think the tree was there to give them some semblance of actually choosing God over their own desires or over their own way. And another thing is that they were like, well, if they didn't know good and evil, how would they know that it was wrong to choose the fruit? It's not about good and evil, because you don't need because we're not talking about babies, we're talking about full grown adults, right? So they have the rational mind to make choices. That's the whole reason why the serpent went through the effort of trying to persuade or negotiate Eve to take of the fruit and say that if you eat of this fruit, then you shall be like gods. That was the whole point. Because if you didn't have the rational mind to concept what you were doing, then the serpent would have just gave her the fruit and said, "Hey, yum yum, this is good. Yum yum, eat this." You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been like that. The same way you would just hand a baby. You can't just hand a baby something, because a baby would just put something in its mouth. You see what I'm saying? They had the rational mind to make choices, because it wasn't God's will to create robots that just act on His will and do what He says. He wanted to give us free will to actually choose Him and to choose His teachings on both sides. Whether we're talking about in the modern times where we're dealing with the effects of sin, or in the beginning when we didn't even have sin to begin with, He still wanted to give us a choice even in the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So, well, if you have any comments, throw them in the section. And if you have anybody out there that you think will have another perspective on this ideal, or can add anything to it, share it to them. And I'm out.